actually. That's
Here's one with your signature. These are all signed by me.
Thank you.
Has this changed from the one you sent in?
I think
There is an extra piece of information that I didn't include. It's an Excel file from looking at the water plants as a whole. So that's the only other part.
All right. We're going to call this meeting to order of the River Plantation MUD Board of Directors at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday, July 28th, 2022. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the meeting from last month. Anybody have any questions, comments on the meeting, minutes of the meeting?
I see no problem. If somebody has something else, I would make a motion to approve it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'm good with it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Next on the list, receive comments from the public. Where's the sheet? Did everybody sign in that wanted to speak?
Thank you, sir. We must have expected a lot of people.
I don't know who printed it. Who printed it?
I guess.
Oh, okay. Donna Smith, would you like to? You
Oh,
didn't put a yes or a no.
I didn't put a yes or no, but I did want to say that when we had the main breaks, I called, I was given information, they called me back, and I was very happy with that.
Good.
I appreciated that service. And when the main break happened in our subdivision, I did have one question though. How in the world could you tell me without labs that the water was safe to drink the next day?
It was sent back to the lab.
Well, it just says tomorrow, and I'm like,
Where?
it was on our door. It came on Saturday night and said it was safe to drink on Sunday.
Yeah.
But it broke on Friday night.
Yeah.
So-
So there's there's very specific rules from the state as to
Right.
when a boil water notice is required and when it isn't. And we've had to issue several throughout the district over the last month.
Yeah.
So, you know, once the line is open and it loses pressure, that triggers this boil water notice. We hang tags notifying you that you need to boil your water. As soon as the water is restored, we collect what's called a bacteriological sample. We send it to the lab, and it's roughly a 24-hour turnaround before you can read that sample off. And that's the sample that we're looking at to confirm the water is in fact safe to drink. And then we'll hang a second notice that tells you it's been rescinded and you no longer need to boil the water.
For the following day. So that just didn't make sense to me.
I don't know what you're talking about because I wasn't in town this past
Right.
weekend, but I was notified Sunday that it was, the boil water
Yeah.
notice was
I just
canceled.
didn't
I
see.
saw some kid in a little white SUV kind of thing, and he was stopping at different people's houses getting water out of things. I stopped him and said, "What are you doing?" And he was collecting samples for the test.
That was his job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his job.
Yeah.
So you probably get shot. Yeah, so as a matter of fact, the guy you're going up there, he's a big boy. And he has a big old cowboy hat. I guarantee it.
But when I did call the answering service, and then I got a call back, and I was very happy with that. I appreciated that.
So, all right, Mr. Smith, you have any comments? No? D-Judge.
Yeah, I know you guys are going through heck with all the breaks and everything else going on here. My question is about the drainage down there on the San Jacinto, because that's free. It's not gonna cost the district, it's not gonna cost me time, because Charlie Riley's group will do it. All you need
Oh,
to do.
you're talking about cleaning out the
Yeah, because
Stewart's Creek.
because the Corps of Engineers guy is in the minutes, his name. We just take a call to verify, because he said we can clean it out, just don't move it.
Right.
And so then send that email over to Charlie Riley, and because Charlie Riley's guy said they could do it in a day or two. And the thing is, it's dry now, so it would be easier to clean out. And, you know, we are in hurricane season, only you wouldn't know it, but.
Right.
you know, I mean, if it does rain, it would be harder to take care of that. So I just didn't know if there's anybody that could just take that on, because it shouldn't be a big deal.
Which creek is that?
That's
Stewart.
the
Stewart
first
Stewart
Creek,
road
the one that
down.
goes to Mosswood,
Okay.
over there by the bridge, there's a big tree that had dislodged and was kind of sitting in the creek.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, we had people getting water that had never had water before.
Gotcha, okay.
And it was because of that. That was stopping everything and everything was backing up.
Okay.
So could we have somebody handle that?
Yes, I'll contact them.
Oh, will you? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. If you don't mind, send me an email with the exact location where it's at. It sounds like.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
If you drive, you can see the tree that's.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
yeah.
If you get in a golf cart.
Well, okay, Charlie Rowley's
Yes.
knows, because they have seen it.
Perfect,
And they
okay.
know where it is and
Okay.
what it is.
Gotcha. Have you talked to them?
Well, we
had a meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
About a year ago, was it about a year ago?
You know, I think it was.
Yeah, about a year ago.
Okay.
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Horner, you said no, you want to change your mind? No? Okay, Robert McElroy.
Yes, how y'all doing?
Good.
I have several things I'd like to speak to. One, I'd like to thank Julie for having the video and having the courage to go over to East Plantation Utility District and attend their meeting. And also, I thank Paul really represented us well in making his appeal. And I don't see how you could turn it down, but then
But they
delay
did.
what they did. So another thing I learned out of that though was that they were talking about putting out their utility markers. For some reason or other, we don't have them in our subdivision. And I don't understand why we don't have those out for, no, we didn't, maybe didn't get notified, but certainly when they broke first ground 3 weeks ago, they were in the area and Taka said they're going to go to everybody with putting in their pedestals. So how do we, and then on the other hand, I know that Suddenlink and Comcast is putting in broadband, and we didn't go through this with their
Because they're
effort.
going in the back easements.
Easement, that's what I
Where the
understand.
water lines are.
But then,
Right.
so that's why, that's the thing I don't understand.
So can I make a comment and then I'm gonna throw it to you guys? Okay. My only comment is how's that marking working out for them? Because the one they hit in Fairway Village was an East Plantation line that was marked. How'd that work out for them?
Well, they didn't
Then I'll
say-
let it to you guys.
Yeah, they didn't say they would miss them. I mean, they only get 20 to 30. I asked
As
them
long
those-
as you're within a mile of it, you're
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So we did send them the plans that we had on file, to give them the best information that we could provide. Marking them is a very wishy-washy thing. You can mark the valves, but my experience with them in other districts is, I think they actually aim for water line. Yeah.
That seems to be what's happening here.
And I'm sure Keith can speak to that. This is just a common occurrence that we fight every time these guys come in.
Yeah, and we've had the same conversation, specific to River Plantation, and as he mentioned, really there's no effective way to go out and locate these utilities. We can look at the prints, we can look at manholes and valve locations, and everything else, and we can try to make our best educated guess. But when they call in, when they call in a locate, any of the other utilities out here, they have tracer wire, so you can come in and you hook up to a locator, and you can pinpoint where that utility is.
The old gas systems don't.
The older stuff, correct.
That's correct.
And so, that, like I said, there's no effective way to do it other than to go out and expose it, and that takes a lot of time.
I'd like to say two
and a
more
lot of
things
money.
about that too. The only person that really knows where all the lines were is no longer with us.
And I
So,
doubt he even
nobody
knows
did.
where they were.
Well,
Because
he
they
knew better
moved.
than anybody, and even East Plantation admits they were guessing on the ones they
Totally
were.
guessing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
and then the next piece is, if you see a fire hydrant out there, wouldn't you think there'd be a water line around it? The one they busted was right in front of a fire hydrant on Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah.
So what good, I mean, they had a fire hydrant there telling them, there's water down here, and they still busted.
Well, they know that they pay for it. I asked them about that. They said, yeah, they pay for it. They pay the bill, so, because I mentioned.
Well, good, get us a name.
Well, that's what, Albertson and Typus, they're supposed to pay for it. That's what the guy on the field said, and that's what, MOC, the man on site, with an RP said, yeah, we're sending the bill to them.
Yes.
And so that brings to mind,
Now we
that's
have to
the water
pay it.
line, those are evident. But when they go through the storm sewer, and that's not so evident.
That's right.
And so with the work that's being done here, do we want to take preventive measure to go through our lines and with our camera, make sure we don't have any,
Already.
So we're,
Doing that.
it just so happens we're currently televising all of our lines, so, and we're coming in the back end of their work, which is
Good.
Yeah.
perfect, so.
Yeah, so that's
we will-
perfect.
We were
Yeah,
doing
that
both
was
storm
an accident.
and sanitary.
Right, better
So-
do
so-
it.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the lucky plea on that one.
Yeah,
but,
that's okay.
it's never fun to find it, you know, five years after the fact of you're
Right.
televising your line and you go, oh, hey, there's a cable line running. I've seen an entire power pole through a sanitary line, you know, so. you-
I understand it's about $10,000 to reconnect a digital cable, broadband cable, that's what I was talking to one guy about that, he said, yeah, it's about $10,000.
Yeah, they get mad when they cut them, when they say that they're not theirs.
And not to mention everybody in
Yeah.
the community that's on that broadband.
That's true.
That's the thing there, so. And I guess the last thing has to do with I noticed y'all have a project, one to do some, one to hire someone to keep up the grass and what's left of it out there in Charleston Park. And the second thing is the work that, on the project here, there's some work being done here with Mosswood. And I want to make sure that these particular locations are
What is
included.
that?
Say again?
What is in Mosswood? I'm not
Oh.
familiar with that.
Well, it's the feed, the supply lines. One is the collector box. I mentioned before about the collector box. Well, of course, the cable's still there the way it was, but not only the cable's there, but now we've got, here, I'll just pass those around. Got a second set here. And it shows what's growing in that collector box, which basically we have starting to grow trees in there now.
Right.
And so, I don't know if that's included in the cleanup work that you have in your project.
So
'cause I wouldn't think it's something that the guy with the lawnmower is gonna go down there and do.
No, they're,
No,
No.
but we can talk with them on a smaller thing like that. We certainly can talk with them and have them go in there
this
and
would
clean
be
that out.
something they can do.
Yeah, on a smaller
Except-
issue.
Well,
yeah,
I-
this one's maybe not a smaller issue.
I would say
Okay.
they've been
Some of
very
them are.
receptive to try to get it, but
Yeah,
you guys have to understand something. It took 3 or 4 years to get it as bad as it is.
Right.
They've been working at it a month to get all of this mowed down.
Yeah.
I think they're making fantastic progress, but they still have a way to go. They haven't mowed all the vegetation area north of Stonewall Jackson. They still gotta do all of that, but they're only doing 4 times a year, which is fine, once they.
And that's not them, right? Well, they're doing it once it's
yeah.
cut.
They're doing the vegetation part north of Stonewall Jackson.
Are you talking about the channel?
But they're not in the
But
ditches.
the channel
Right.
south is, they're not, but my point is, they haven't done that yet either, but they just got caught up
Yeah,
on the bigger stuff, now they're starting to work on the details.
Well,
All I'm saying is give them a chance.
okay, but if you go over to, I guess on the north side, northwest side of River Plantation Drive, from Braxton Bragg down to past the clubhouse, you'll see green grass, okay? Well, that's out of place. The only reason it's green, because that's a drainage, that's a surface drain. And there's culverts there, and there are feeds to these major drains that need to basically be taken care of. Some of it, I think, has been attempted to be done, but you can look in there and see the green grass, and it's obviously out of place with what's around it. And look around water plant number 1. And so there are culverts there, you can't really, they're starting to be covered up where you probably say it's not there. And so we don't want to lose that drainage. That's the main point I'm saying.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right. Number 3, bookkeeper's report. I think, as far as we know, we got everybody caught up, right? We're caught up on all the bills that we had stockpiled for a while that we didn't know about?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a question, right off the beginning, you have 2 payments to consolidate, it's only $400 each.
And 2 to interchange.
Those were holding checks that we had prepared last month. We're trying to be prepared for any residual, a late
Late
received,
fees.
bill and then a current received bill, so that's, I think is what happened. one of them is for a late bill, and then the second one is actually for a current bill. So we're kind of overcompensating in the moment, trying to make sure we have enough, holding checks and,
These just show that the checks are being cut on.
Yeah,
And they were-
yeah, but that's what she's saying. Some of them we were behind, I remember, like the Entergy ones, we were like 2 months behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monty, we were 2 months behind. MagnaFlow, we were 3 months behind.
I still got copies on here.
I told you it's on there.
You saw it, but I didn't see it. Oh,
So yes, it was kind of like some bills got passed after April and just kind of stopped getting paid, so.
I have a question. Account balance. I'm gonna ask the stupid question.
Okay.
WS&D, is that water, sewer,
Water,
and
sewer, and
drainage?
drainage, correct. It won't fit on the report.
I understand. I mean, that's, that
And
was
really
my
don't look at it
guess.
on your phone, because it really won't fit.
That was my guess, so, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All you get is a bunch of asterisks on your phone.
That's right.
So I noticed we didn't get any revenue from East Plantation mud. Is that not
So
supposed to be
they
monthly?
explained it in the meeting that we didn't send them the bill, is the way
Well-
it was explained to us
Okay,
in the
well,
meeting. Well, I'll leave it at that.
I- and I've tried to, I have Preston's personal line, so, and I've told him personally, please be patient, go through transition. Once I start receiving those invoices regularly, you will be invoiced regularly.
So they were not invoiced?
Yes, they were, it's just, I think I have not compared this month's invoice for them, lacking a couple pieces of information, because Preston wants it complete.
Gotta cross every T and dot every I right now.
Yeah.
And then I have a general question. On page number 6, we've got 3 different operations: operations water, operations STP, and operations admin.
Wastewater. Sewage treatment plant, wastewater, sewage treatment plant, and what was the other one? Oh,
And
water.
admin,
Yeah.
right?
So you got STP.
Which is sewer treatment plant. Wastewater and sewer plant.
So is that,
You know where all this stuff is? Okay.
is that
You'll
going
get back.
to MOC, or is that?
I think those are all new accounts,
Which one are you talking about?
16105, 161, and 238.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, I mean, that's how the budget is set up, we split the water and
Right.
sewer,
Yeah.
and of course, definitely the SCP has to be separated out because that's included in the billing to East Plantation.
But where does that money go? Is that going to MOC, or is that going,
Steve
What is
in the
that?
yard.
what does operations mean, basically?
Basic maintenance and repairs of the facilities.
Wait, so-
Some of them are,
Yeah, so
Some are
there's-
MOC.
I think, there's other expense items that are gonna be related to us as well, such as maintenance and repairs or laboratory expense, chemicals. I mean, all of that stuff involves us, but is not necessarily payable to us. Items such as, I anticipate, operations, water, the STP, and the admin are gonna be a function of our contract for, base monthly fees, so on and so forth. Admin being primarily clerical components, billing components, so on and so forth, and then obviously operations specific to whether it's at a water facility or the joint sewer plant.
So, and just for clarification, so admin is municipal operation and consulting.
but the prepared publications game, I'm trying to think what that was.
That's the website.
The website. So there's not a actual website budget amount, so we'll be in basic operations admin.
Okay.
And those might be issued, topics of discussion when you get ready to plan your next budget.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we need to start working on the next budget
Yeah.
too, so.
May I have some ideas, I have some recommendations, so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need, well, some of these we don't need to split out as much as,
Right.
yeah.
I have a question about the telephone bill. Do we still have a telephone here?
Yeah.
The wastewater treatment plant. Not here,
Oh.
not in the office.
Well, we still
Gotcha.
have one, but We're paying $400, so.
No, not anymore. It
No.
quit July 1st.
Right.
Oh, okay.
What
So
we can do.
what's the 400 for? Are we paying $300?
That
That was
was-
for June.
Previous months.
Okay.
That's 400 out of line anyway.
It's-
Oh.
Well, and actually, we will still have one here for the internet.
That's separate, right?
It'll be
It'll be part of
consolidated,
it.
yeah.
It'll be
Well,
total
I tell-
expense.
Okay.
Caucus to give us a free one after all the crap they've cost us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, good luck with that.
so, yeah, so. What was your question? Did you get your question answered?
Yes, yeah.
Your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Motion to accept the bookkeeper's report?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
one quick,
okay,
it's more of an FYI.
okay.
MAC Municipal Accounts is really stepping up on its security measures. There's been a lot of fraudulent attempts to intercept wire transfers, pay application, checks for pay applications. So if I make a strange request as to, I need to verify address over the phone, not by email, it's just part of the security
Okay.
measures. So I did check to provide.
Oh, yeah, right,
So
yeah.
this is the first time I'm seeing that vendor.
Yeah.
We're trying to speak to them directly and verify, make sure we are speaking to the correct person. So I'm just forewarning y'all that there's going to be some extensive procedures on our side.
That makes sense.
And for security on that check, I think you were gonna give me that check tonight, right? To-
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna take that check with me so they can pick it
Yes.
up directly at the office. And our
Okay.
policy for anybody that picks up a check from our office is they are required to provide us their ID. We scan it and log it to make sure that this is the person you sent and so on and so forth.
And then I just want to verify that the email you sent
Yeah,
me,
right.
that came from you.
Yeah, right.
I know it's a strange question, but.
No, you're good, you're good.
Oh, you still have some receipts? I forgot to put them on.
I turned them in last week.
Okay.
Or I sent them in actually. Did you
Okay.
get the receipts that I sent? I think I sent them in when you were on vacation, but they didn't.
You don't see a check here?
I don't-
I'll have some for next month too, but it's
Okay.
small, very small, so. okay.
I
What was on it?
Yeah,
emailed it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I just want to make sure I gave it to Mark.
All right, tax assessor, we're good? Tax assessor collector's report, any questions on it?
I just have a question on the, on this overview page. It says overpayment P and I, and it's a negative number. I don't understand that. Is that an overpayment of the taxpayer?
So, are you talking about which one? So what they do, and I'll just tell you from other clients, and Carol can probably straighten me out if I'm wrong. Sometimes people, when they report sales tax, make, well, is that property tax or sales tax? Both.
This is property.
So, it's property tax?
Yeah, this is property.
Okay, then forget what I was gonna say. Okay, I'll let Carol explain it.
This are either like overpayments, you're talking about 304, 17, that what you're asking about?
You turned-
No, the 34, 37, and balance forward.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
30417, yeah, that's, yeah, exactly, 30417,
Oh,
and it's a negative number, that's.
right, because that's money that has been paid back out to taxpayers.
Because someone,
Or
because they
something
overpaid,
written off, correct.
Okay,
You know,
That's
they-
and we pay, they pay interest on that too?
yes, they paid it like that.
Okay.
Yes, yes, you're right on.
2023. It's 2023, it's in January.
I know, but it was in our packet,
Yeah, it's for this next January.
so we don't need to talk about it?
Well, we will.
Oh, okay. I thought
So-
we were already through that.
Okay. The review of investments,
So, yeah.
so,
And I'm just gonna let you know that where you please stand and receive these.
Okay.
This is this one.
Oh, okay, so all CDs have been transferred to your Texas class, and right now,
Okay.
until the banks, the CD interest on CDs kind of catch up with money markets, and the moment it's just in Texas class.
Okay.
Let me see, what you said everything's been transferred to Texas, Clint?
As the CDs have matured, we were transferring those funds directly into the Texas class rather than renewing them because the interest rate, the interest earnings on those CDs
CDs
are
gonna be
still
low.
so low, yeah.
Yeah.
They're already behind.
Right, so, yes, until the banks kind of catch up, you know,
Put it in Texas
we're
fund,
putting it in Texas
absolutely.
class. Because right now, Texas class,
What, 2.6 or something like that? Yeah.
it just went up
Go up
75 points
Wow.
yesterday or the day before, so yes. So we're gonna see some nice interest earnings on the Texas class.
Good.
Okay. We're gonna need it.
Do you want to do a motion to accept those last two
Yeah.
reports?
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions on the review of the investments? Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the tax assessor collector's report and the report on the review of the investments?
I'll make a motion, we accept both of those.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any questions on the payment of the bills?
No.
Can I get a motion to approve the payment of the bills?
I'll make a motion, we approve paying the bills.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, operators report.
All righty, good evening. I had sent out a copy and passed out another copy here this evening. This one's got a few additional items on it. Obviously, want to say on the front end, this is your report. Don't know what all you guys have seen, previous. So this is kind of our typical report, but know that if there's additional information that you guys want reported, we're happy to accommodate that. So the way that the report's laid out there, to the top left, we're showing you the total number of connections at 947. Currently, none of those being vacant. Received $63,858.08 in revenue. Beneath that is just a summary of gallons billed by user type. Beneath that is the number specific to that most recent billing period. So for the period ending June 23rd, total gallons produced from both of your wells totaled 14,093,000 gallons. We billed out 12,586,000, accounting for 90% of the water. We kind of had a brief conversation even prior. Obviously I don't know all the historical trends as to what accountability here has been specific. 90% is not way off the mark. I think typically for the majority of our systems, we would like it to be 93, 94, 95%. I mean, I think you can always anticipate that there's going to be water loss. It's a pressurized system.
So where does the 10% go?
It's out there in the street.
Yeah, I mean, some of
This
the,
month, there's gonna be a ton of them. Just like-
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and on the leaks and flushing, I mean, that's, that's not an exact number, right? I mean, that's just kind of our best guess based upon the leak, or, for example, we're out flushing hydrants or flushing dead ends. If someone calls in for murky water, they're gonna flush. We're not gonna meter that water. I mean, so it's a bit of an estimate, but,
Does that go on every month?
yes, sir.
Where it says leaks reported in District 0, this was from June. So we
Correct,
had
yeah.
no main breaks or anything in the month of June, correct?
And so that's a good question. So the leaks that I report to you on our report is going to tie to the number of leaks that are on our bill. And so next month, obviously, you're going to have the influx of all the leaks that we're thinking.
Right.
That's probably gonna be the biggest number on the
Right.
page.
Okay.
So, yeah, that number is specific to our current bill, and on our current bill, there were no leaks repaired.
Jay?
To the right there is just a summary of your permit from Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District. The permit authorization, your annual allocations, that 225.8 million gallons. On the calendar month, so for the calendar month of June, you produced the 15.6. Year to date, you've produced the 38.6, so the amount remaining is 187,234. And we'll keep an eye on that, obviously, as with the drought conditions, obviously demand is up. As we move closer to the end of the year, if, we're very familiar with Lone Star. We've dealt with them on several deals. In the event that we need to, ask for increase in allocation, so on and so forth, we can certainly do that if and when necessary. Beneath that is bacteriological samples. So we took 5 samples, not including any of the boil water notices, just your typical routine monthly bacteriological samples. We took 5, those results were good. The number of samples collected is a function of the size of the system. And so we're taking 5 per year TCEQ requirement. Beneath that's the summary of the wastewater treatment plant operations. And so the way that our report's laid out there on the left-hand side under June are the actual values that we reported to the state. To the right of that are the permitted values based upon the actual permit from the TCEQ. Everything's within permit, and then just beneath that, we always are going to note each month that what percent of capacity you're operating at, so that your average daily flow versus permitted daily flow. So you're permitted for the 600,000 gallons flow. Average daily flow for June was the 209,000, so you're at 35% of the permitted capacity. I will tell you some of that, and we'll get to this here in just a minute, but that 209 is a little there's more water than that leaves your plant. However, the large majority of the water that actually runs through your treatment plant is sent over to the golf course for irrigation. The meter that actually irrigates that water is faulty. It half the time reads, half the time it doesn't read. And so moving forward, I've got a number to repair the meter. It's really not even, we can't even make a repair, we've got to replace it. It's a 4-inch meter. The gears inside of it are trashed, they're no good, and that's why sometimes it reads, sometimes it doesn't. So typically I would report to you the total number of gallons that we metered there and that we sent to the golf course. This month that number didn't make any sense because half the time it wasn't even registering. And so to that point, the total cost to replace that meter, again, it being the 4-inch meter, is $5,445. And that's from a group called Accurate Meter and Backflow. We do a lot of work with them. They came out, they looked at the meter to see if they could make a repair. Again, it's not able to be repaired, and so that's the cost for replacement. Beneath the wastewater treatment plant is your age receivables, and so the current column there, the 82,289.97, represents, and let me just pause and tell you, each month, I'm not going to be this long-winded, just trying to kind of go through it so that you guys understand where we're at and what I'm telling you. The current column there, that represents if, based upon all of the bills rendered for this period that ended June 23rd, if everybody paid their bill on time, you would collect the $83,287. 30-day, that negative value there is a product of whenever we pulled all the data over from your prior billing software. There were some overpayments, there was a handful of credits, so on and so forth, and so that's what that is. So moving forward, whatever portion of that current column is unpaid, that obviously those dollars will become 30 days old, and that will show up in that 30-day column, and obviously we'll continue to roll that value out all the way out to 120 days. Once it reaches 120, it'll sit there. So 120 or older, it'll sit in that 120-day column. So it just gives you a snapshot of your receivables.
So when it goes over to 30 days, does that include the penalty?
Correct. Yes, sir. And then there at the bottom will just be a graph showing your water accountability month over month. The following 2 pages, this is your DMR, which was submitted to the TCEQ on your behalf for the wastewater plant, and this is for the month of June. As I mentioned earlier, everything's in compliance. Really the most important column on the DMR. So first column in from the right is number of excursions or violations. If you run down that list there, you'll see zeros. That's what we want to see. If you see a number in that column, we need to have a conversation.
What does DMR stand for? Discharge
Monitoring Report. And this is submitted, again, to the TCEQ every month.
Right here.
And then the following 4 pages, GM Services actually, and we hadn't even scheduled it, but they were slated to come out and do the well performance testing. If you guys recall, we had some conversations about that when we first talked with you all. So currently they're testing the wells annually. Our recommendation is that they would be tested biannually. So we want to see what the well looks like in the summer. We want to see what it looks like in the winter so that we have an idea as to how the aquifers recovered following summer months production. This is just a summary. I didn't print the entire report. If you guys want to see it, I'm happy to send it to you. But this is just a summary. And I'm sure Taylor probably can study this thing a lot more in depth than me. But there's a graph within the report that looks like this. And I'll just tell you generally what I'm looking for. So obviously you see the values from their report from June 20, June 21, and June 22. They're showing the static water levels. That's obviously water level with the well not running. They're showing you the pumping level. So once the well's running, they're looking at what's the water level. And obviously the difference of that is what they call drawdown. And then that middle number there is capacity. So that's what it's producing in gallons per minute. So the main thing that that I watch for on these is if, is there a significant change in capacity as far as how many gallons that well's producing that doesn't correlate to a change in that static water level. If we begin to see that the static water level is relatively uniform to what it was previously, but our capacity is significantly fallen off, and that can be oftentimes an indicator that you're beginning to have issues down the hole, and you can hopefully get on it before everything falls apart.
So that the difference in the capacity is about 5%. Is that normal, or
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
is that what the tolerance is? Or?
I'm not overly alarmed by it, and I think again, it's in large part the product of that static levels. You're 30 feet lower than it was that prior year. Year over year, and again, once we start doing this biannually, we'll have more data to kind of be able to tell where what's going on.
Sure.
So
You got to have something.
But yeah,
compared to.
I'm not alarmed by anything.
Okay.
And
Can I ask a
yeah,
question?
sure.
So, and this may be a Taylor question, didn't we, well number 4, well number 2, whatever we're calling it now, didn't we just, isn't that new?
That's
Then why are
new.
we operating at 65% efficiency?
That's just how the pump. That's how the pump is operating on the pump curve, and so that's
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't. That's
Don't look at
65%.
that?
Yeah, don't
Okay.
let that. Yeah, that doesn't mean
Okay.
that the pump's
Okay.
quitting on you. It's
Okay.
and there's actually a page in the report typically that actually shows the pump curve. So
Okay.
it's looking at total head. It's looking at certain things, and it's saying here's your percent of efficiency. So don't.
Got it.
I wouldn't be overly alarmed about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And then outside of the written report, again, just kind of general update. Everyone's obviously aware we've had significant issues with cactus in the district. We've had a number of jobs that we've responded to. Have issued several boil water notices. So obviously we're going to continue to try to stay on top of that and be as responsive as we can be. We lost the soft start on well number 3 a little over a week ago. It was a little bit older equipment. Had trouble finding it. Found one in Chicago. It arrived yesterday and it was installed yesterday. So that well is back in operation. Everything's good to go. We lost a starter on a booster pump at Water Plant 2. That starter has since been replaced. And then we lost the clarifier drive, one of the clarifier drives at your wastewater plant. It quit on us. The wires shorted, they shorted the ground. So, the ultimate fix is we need to pull the wires, the existing wires out of the conduit, run new wires. What we've done, at least temporarily, is just run an SO cord across the catwalk and wire it in so it's running. Plants, again, obviously operate, in compliance. It's doing what it should be, but we'll need to make the permanent fix at some point here soon. But that's relatively all I have. Certainly, if you have any questions, happy to try to answer them.
Just like to tell you, I think you guys have done a great job trying to stay with all this disaster out here.
Agreed.
I've seen people this deep in water out there trying to get it stopped. And I've been just very happy to see it being done.
I'm glad to hear it.
Is it possible, and I'm probably the only one that here that pays attention to it, but is it possible to get a report that shows how many people have used over 50,000 gallons, 40 to 50, 20? Can we put that in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always your favorite.
That's right.
Because even when we didn't have water, I put out a thing, please conserve water. I drive down the road, people are watering their lawn.
I know, I didn't see anybody back off.
Like, okay.
We have a history of anytime you put out a
Turn on more water?
hey, you guys mind conserving water? Not a mandatory, but just kind of advisory we will see the water usage go up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so,
yeah. Yeah, so, okay, any other questions on the operator? Okay, do we need to make a motion to have them, or do they have do we need to make a motion to have them repair that, meter or replace the meter on their golf course?
What was the cost?
$54.45.
I mean, it's within your discretion, they're authorized,
Okay.
and it's just a certain threshold, is kind of how you did with Richard.
Okay, that's what I couldn't remember, if we had set a threshold with
I
them or
mean, it
not.
didn't hurt to do it, but
Okay.
I don't think you have
Okay.
to.
What about the wiring at the wastewater treatment plant? Do we have a rough estimate of what that's gonna cost?
It's probably $3,000 to $4,000 out,
Okay.
all said and done.
Okay.
I mean, that typically, I mean, obviously, if it's a large expense, we're not gonna go out and do it without you guys doing
Right.
that. But on some of that stuff, it's kind of a necessary
Just
evil,
gotta be
and so
done.
we just kind of know that.
Oh, absolutely,
it has to
yeah.
be.
Yeah, I think you just do adopt a reward, just like on the other ones, and that'll include those repairs.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
fine with that.
okay. All right, somebody have a motion that we authorize them to make repairs up to,
And approve the report.
yeah, or approve the report and
I'll make a
authorize
motion.
them to, huh?
Two separate
We
ones.
can, yeah, and, authorize them to make repairs up to, what was Richard's, 25,000?
Yeah, something like that.
25,000.
But they'll be here every month, I don't think that'll need to be a
I'll
problem.
make a motion, we accept the operator's report and allow them to repair the meter up to $25,000.
The meter at the country club and what about
And
the wastewater?
the wastewater treatment plant repair.
Yeah.
I would say
You're saying-
authorize them any repairs up to 25,000.
Right, that's what
Yes.
I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out.
that's-
Yeah. Okay,
That's
so do I have a second?
It's not, yeah, I'll second it, but it's not a specific
Right.
date that it.
It's, yeah, anytime there's a repair that has to be done, it's.
It's just
yeah.
a standing, it's just
Yeah.
a rule of thumb for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, do I have
Tom
a second?
seconds.
Yeah,
You second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, engineers report.
all right, nothing new on your permits. Going through the design projects, the East Ditch FEMA work, there were some emails going back and forth between them, but we're getting that all straightened out. The East Concrete Ditch, I realized I forgot to attach this cost estimate, I apologize. To do the de-silt work, we're estimating about $277,000. This is to remove, what we're proposing as of now is where Richard was originally dumping that dirt and things like that, not,
To remove it?
we're not gonna remove it, but I wouldn't say do it that way. Since you guys own the park and there's a bunch of area to spread dirt, we're just proposing to do like over a broad area of about 4 inches, and we'll have them seed the top of it so that grass will get growing back in the park and things like that.
You know, we have a dumping area over here by the wastewater plant too, right?
That is not necessarily within the fence, and I don't know the boundary line.
Well, that's where Richard always put it down.
Yeah, but
I-
it may not be our property.
Yeah,
I think
We
it
might
is.
wanna be careful.
I
So-
think it is out there.
Anyway,
But Charleston, there's a lot of
yeah,
dips and holes out there, so if this can even that out.
yeah, we're just
That's what
kinda,
he's doing.
yeah, we're just gonna kinda flatten the area out, so, when we do the work, you'll see, some dirt, and some people may have some problem because the grass went away, but, we'll.
there's no grass.
It'll
right now.
it'll grow back better now, so it'll actually be seeded.
Right, exactly.
So that's to do that for $277,000. I do have storm sewer televised phase 2 contract ready for signature tonight. The park sidewalk rehab, I drove it, I took pictures, we looked at it. I'm estimating about $50,000 to do all those repairs. One thing I did talk to Keith a little bit about is the possibility of them doing kind of a monthly repair to that sidewalk, so it's not all bit off at once. We'll take care of the worst areas first and just progressively do that. What we've done in the past with other districts is you kind of authorize, okay, you guys got $10,000 to spend this month on sidewalk repairs for Charleston Park. I think that would be an easier way. That way you don't have to worry about us putting bills towards it, contracts and things like that with a third-party associate. And Keith, you're okay with that, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I've got an estimate here from a concrete company to do the 30 cracks that I've identified in there. And it's for 11,500.
So I wasn't doing cracks, I was doing removing, replacing sections. And so it's a 5 foot wide sidewalk, or 6 foot wide sidewalk, about 5 foot per section, typically. And so 30 square feet, and the concrete price right now is about $100 a square yard.
But is that how it will be done, is replacing the whole, because a lot of times it's just a little crack along the side.
I mean, if you guys wish to just piecemeal the cracks and do like spot repairs like that, that is a possibility. We were trying to fix it, you know, going forward. It's you know, you're normally removing it, the section that is broken, and then repairing it appropriately. That is what we've done historically. I'm not, you know, if you guys would like to do it the other way, I have no issues with that.
I will tell you my opinion.
Who's gonna do it? Is it gonna be you guys?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm proposing.
Yeah, we
for-
don't have to.
I like the idea of it, that we keep it in-house if it's cost effective. You know, that way.
I would like to do it instead of, I mean, I think we're finding, and Keith and them are finding it on the water lines, how we piecemeal stuff together, and I want it fixed, and
Whole section.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we were proposing to repair the entire section of concrete so that you see a brand new piece that fits into the sidewalk versus, I've seen the other repairs that have been made in the past, and it just looks like a little bit piece of new concrete.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to keep up because it doesn't always bind well to the existing concrete, and so over time, that area just ends up breaking off again.
And there's several breaks in each section too,
Yeah.
so I would
Right.
like each section to be repaired, the
So-
whole section.
Tyler, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Since this is bond money that's gonna be paying for this, have we already gotten this approved from TCEQ?
And so the way the bonds are set up, you would just have to do a resolution towards doing the concrete work in Charleston Park. So Paul and them can put together a resolution to put it forward for using these funds appropriately in that category, and we'll have, if Keith is the one doing it, we'll have him put it on a separate line item to say concrete repairs in Charleston Park,
Okay.
and they can reimburse the operating through that.
Okay. All right.
Well, I have a question before we're gonna try to vote on that, before we vote on it. See, I think there's another area, and it's actually the next item on our agenda. So I don't know if I'm out of line to talk at it this time.
well, why don't you let him do his thing?
I
And then,
thought he was through.
oh, are you through?
Well, I'm not there with the engineers for it.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Moving on to water plant number one, the rehab, I have a cost estimate here from CNC to rehab the well and get it back online for $109,200. This doesn't include doing an actual inspection by, you'll use preventative services usually, Keith?
Yes.
Having them go through and making sure that the water plant itself is satisfactory to run. Whenever those things sit empty, sometimes it could end up being more repairs than just fixing the well. What this proposes is what they'll do is they'll go in, they'll clean the well, they'll throw acid in it to brush off all the scum, they'll pump it out, try to get clean water, then they'll chlorinate the well, install a new submersible pump, equivalent to what you guys originally had, and so on and so forth. While that work, if this is something that you guys want to do, while that work's being done, we'll have preventative services come out, make any smaller repairs that we need to do to get the plant fully back online, and you can bring it back. One additional piece that I added to this report that wasn't in the original one that I sent out looks at the water plant components, and so it's broken down into the first page you're going to see is water plant number one with water plant number one, and you'll see that your well capacity is approximately 4,000 connections, your GST 5,000, your hydros 2,000, which is technically unlimited because they're pressure tanks, and that's kind of how that operates, and then your booster pumps is 2,000. When you come down here to capacity without water plant number one, you're at 3,300 connections for wells, 5,000 for GST, 2,500 for hydros, and 1,680 for booster pumps. So you can see the real reduction when you get close to your connection count is the reduction in booster pumps overall. There's not much GST capacity, and the well capacity is about 500 GPMs. Now, with the things that happened in lieu of interconnect issues and things like that, there is an added benefit of having a third well. I don't want to.
Would it have provided water to the entire district?
The well, based off of the standards that we run by will not supply the entire district of just running that well. I mean, that would be, that
So
well.
how do we pick who gets water and who doesn't get water?
What would end up happening is that well would run about 24 hours a day, and if everybody decided to run their water at a certain period of time, you would do what we call a flame out, meaning that it would suck the GST dry.
Right.
And that's really the limiting factor here is the GST more so than the well itself. And if you flip to the next page, you'll actually see that well number 1 is capable of supplying 833 connections, which is almost the whole district. You have 968 connections, but the pressure tanks and the ground storage tank and the booster pumps are all well undersized. And what that means is that your well can provide a capacity over what the other components can provide if you were running into a scenario where you were just running that plant.
I don't know if it means anything, but Richard, he told me that that well did support the entire subdivision after hardening for a short period of time.
That's what he said.
I would not discount the facts on the ground of somebody actually doing it. Was the pressure above 35 PSI?
I couldn't answer that question.
Right.
I just know he said it
Correct.
kept us up and going.
So all of these regulations that we kind of base our report on is running the district at about a 50 PSI regulatory requirement. That if you cut down the PSI and you do all those things, I'm not saying that MOC could probably work magic with a water plant if they needed to. And Richard probably did as well.
Well, as
so-
a user, I can tell you, I didn't see a difference in the pressure, but also the consideration, you gotta realize there's a lot of houses that
That
weren't
didn't have
using
water.
water.
Yeah, about 400.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
They had too much water, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So in a scenario where the district is fine, let's just say well number 1, or we'll call it 2 for water plant 2 and 3 for water plant 3, we're down, and the district had no other issues, it's very doubtful that you would be able to meet the supply with water well number
Yeah, for
1.
a prolonged time.
Right, and both water plant number 2 and water plant number 3 are capable of running the district by themselves at any given point, as you can see kind of by the numbers laid forth. The only downside is that 840 GPM you see on the booster pump. That we have to consider either dividing the capacity by 2 or what we call a peaking factor, where we take out the largest pump in service, which is not necessarily a worry in a drastic situation where you need to do it. Typically, you know, we can fudge that number a little bit. So that being said, water plant 2, water plant 3, capable of running the district by themselves. In a scenario where water well number 1 goes down, water 2 goes down, water plant 3 goes down, could the system limp along for a little bit? Yeah, you're going to have some GST reserves where the well finished filling the GST, but now the well no longer works, and so you have 500,000 gallons there to work with. And so depending on repair time, it may buy you a little time, but it won't support the entire pressure.
Well, and we just had a perfect storm
Right.
that 1 week.
I would think
Everything
the
went
best
down at once.
benefit is when we have maintenance to do on either 2 or 3, we can let one support with the other unit. So it gives you more time to get it in, I would think, with less trouble with the first unit.
Well, and that was why I broke it down by all 3 plants, whereas if you're doing work on water plant number 2, water plant 3 can run the district. Yes, having water plant number 1 would be an added benefit in the scenario of worst case scenario. Does it really save you? Would I say that, oh, water plant number 1 is going to save you? Not entirely. You know, it would take a perfect storm. It's really I have to put it to a board decision on just y'all's general thoughts on it. You guys are experiencing it on the ground at a comfort level that will give you to be able to. Now, take a step back with the interconnect issues that we were talking about. If you had to go on interconnect, having water well number 1 to be able to feed East Plantation this only benefits East Plantation in the fact of feeding them. Versus the alternative of, if you guys had to go on interconnect with East Plantation 1 because both of your wells were down, they have 1 water plant. It's probably a 900 GPM well. It would probably line up comparable to a water plant number 2. And I don't know the total connections for East Plantation, but I think it's close to
5.
500 or 600. So that being said, water plant number 1 plus their plant may help you in that scenario. So,
So what about the $40,000 for inspection rehabilitation? Is that necessary? I mean, it looks to me like we're paying $4,500 just to run a camera down the thing 3 different times in the inspection period. Is that necessary?
yeah, we want to fully inspect that well. It's been sitting for 2 years now.
But
We
you
don't.
have to do it 3 times at $1,500 a pop?
So the first would be to inspect it, the second would be to make sure that it's cleaned proficiently, because once you run it down the first time, and you're gonna look at it just as it sits right now. Then you're gonna clean it, and then you need to run it down again to make sure everything's good, and then you're gonna run it one more time to make sure everything is in line if you had to do any fixes. So you may reduce one of those televises, but I told them to make sure that, you know, they did worst case scenario on that.
So going back to the, whether we need this or not, right now we're doing voluntary water conservation. Is there a chance that we won't have enough water in the aquifer for 2 and 3 where we would need to bring on 1?
The only reason we did voluntary was because the one night when well number 2 went down, well number 3 went down at on the same day. And we asked for voluntary.
Well number 3 didn't go down, it was a booster pump, and so you then ran into that scenario where we're talking about where you lose a booster pump and you're relying on the other 3 booster pumps to provide to the district.
Okay, more generally, with the drought that we've been having, is it possible that the aquifer is going to not be able to provide this aquifer, and we would need to go to pump number 1's aquifer?
So no, that's not a scenario. What we typically see for in a drought period of time, what typically happens is everybody decide. Well, let's just say general numbers 50-50. 50% of people water their yard no matter if it's raining or not. You see those people with sprinklers on, and it can be raining outside, and 50% don't. They use the rain to conserve water. When a drought happens, what tends to happen is more people are now watering their yard, which is consuming more water. You get really high pump run times, and so whenever your pumps start to get into that 18-hour-a-day run time at both plants, you start to play with fire on, we're using so much water, our pumps are running so much that things start to break. And so typically when we issue a drought contingency plan, it's to say, guys, the wells aren't keeping up because people are no longer using the 300 gallons per user that we typically allocate for. They're now using 600 because they're trying to water their yard all the time because they want to keep their yard green. And so that's normally what happens in a water conservation issue when you're dealing with droughts. It's not because the aquifer is running out of water, it's because people are drastically using more water is lost to evaporation, and so on and so forth. So.
Isn't that where well number 1 comes in to fill up, to take, go ahead and run while the others take a rest during the nighttime? Follow what I'm saying?
I see what you're
We're
saying.
talking about
but
18 hours if you could take some of that time away by running well number 1. There's a filling.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
But it's
not
how long it
necessary.
runs per day, right? It's total hours consecutive.
Well, no.
It's hours per day. It's hours per day that we're looking at. And so I don't know if it's capable of setting water plant 1 in lead. And so, you know, what most districts who have multiple water plants, they will set water plant number 1 in lead, and then the next day water plant number 2 will be in lead, and the next day water plant 3 will be in lead. And so you rotate. Will water plant 1 handle a district for a period of time to give a rest? I wouldn't know without having numbers on the ground because of the small GST booster pump capacity. It could be an hour, it could be 5 hours. I don't know.
But I'm asking, is it because the pump runs 18 hours a day versus 6 hours a day, or is it once it reaches 20,000 hours, then you're going to start having problems with it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's because of the 18-hour-a-day continuous runtime that things start to break. It doesn't have a chance to really rest. It's not necessarily, you know, I've had pumps go for 20 years that have hundreds of thousands of hours of runtime that work fine. It's that high strain pressure of that electric motor constantly winding over an 18-hour period of time. Things start to heat up. You know, you could run into a period where You may have a small oil leak, but it's running all the time and you don't realize it, and you run out of oil and then you burn up a motor. There's a slew of scenarios that I'm sure Keith can go through, A through Z of issues he's seen over time. Would water well number one potentially reduce that time a little bit, maybe by a couple of hours? Would it be drastic? My professional opinion is I don't think it would.
So it seems like your opinion is we don't need number one.
As far as running the district appropriately in an emergency period of time, I would say water well number one will add more repairs to your budget item than having water plant number 1 and 2 online running appropriately. As of right now, do you know what the run times are roundabout for those wells?
Well, with water plant 3 down, obviously well 2 was up quite a bit, but it's, with that now back online, so I mean, we're 9, 10 hours a day.
Which is pretty average. I mean, for what we see on a summer like this.
9 or 10 hours a day.
Yeah. And that's a typical run time for a summer. I have districts that right now have wells running 24 hours a day just to try to keep up with demand.
Okay, keep going.
Yep.
He's got a long report.
Next item, Stone Mountain, the storm sewer sinkhole. So we did receive the video for the storm sewer. You can see on the picture that was provided with the report the complete failure of the bottom of the CMP. They ran a dye test, and if you're interested in seeing the video, the entire thing was bringing in green liquid into the storm sewer. There is a sinkhole that started to appear. I've asked Keith's guys to put a steel plate over it for the time being. We're working with contractors as well as the county to try to figure out how to go forward with this. I would love for the county to say, hey, we'll take care of it. I just don't know how that's going to go. So.
I have a question on that one. That has been a bad spot for years. The people that used to live there had an 18-wheeler. He parked actually on the manhole covers. They parked right across the grass, and I think trucks are still parking on the grass on that side. Is that could that be a cause?
No, we're not seeing it on the actual grass or in the manhole. This is actually coming from underneath the pipe.
Okay.
And so what happens is once that metal erodes, it opens up kind of a caveat. You guys have sandy, silty soils being so close to the San Jacinto that it's kind of like when you go to the beach and you hold sand in your hand and you build it starts to permeate through the opening and remove soil, so it undermines the road, and that's where the sinkhole happens.
So for the last 3 months, they've been putting more asphalt in that hole and covering it, and then the next day it becomes a hole again.
That's correct.
So where's the asphalt that they're putting in that hole going? Is it going through the pipe and into our?
It's not going into the pipe, but it's filling that void as the sand moves out of the way.
Okay.
So yeah, as the sand moves out of the way, it's just like you put a bunch of rocks in the hole. Sand would still flow through, the water still flows through it. It just starts to fill those voids, but that void continues to get bigger once that water starts running through.
So is what we're working with the county, whether they're gonna repair it or whether we're gonna, because I think my understanding is everything under the road is our responsibility. The road is the county's responsibility.
Okay, if that's the scenario, I wasn't sure if.
That's what we've always been told.
Okay.
That's
So,
correct.
Okay.
yeah.
Then I was mistaken in that, then it is our job, but we'll work with them to see if they want to do the repair on the road, per se, to save you guys. The goal would be to potentially line it, but I gotta see if that's even probable with the damages that are done and the space to work in.
Okay.
I'm hoping for not a complete remove and replace, but right now, the contractors are looking at it in detail. They have the video and they're inspecting the line.
Okay.
So.
And this is just storm drain, right? Not
This-
sewer.
This is a storm sewer, correct. There is a sanitary line that runs right next to it, and we televised that line as well, and ran a dye test, and no dye ever showed up in the line, which is good. So.
And I know I talked to, what is this down, where that manhole is? Is that, have they televised that yet?
So we televised the line itself, and that line has been CIPP'd. We didn't see any infiltration on that one. That one I think is more for those old bricks. The mortar starts to wear out. Once the mortar wears out, it's the same process. Water starts seeping through, it drags sand, and it starts to sink. So, yeah.
If you want to see what I'm talking about, it's like a roller coaster action down there by the pool. It's that kind of thing. Go ahead,
Moving on to the construction projects, the sanitary sewer clean and televised, we received those videos and have began processing and putting together a spreadsheet for repairs. Next month, I will hopefully have a cost estimate as well as request to advertise for the first phase of sanitary sewer line repairs. Storm sewer phase 1, those guys are out there cammering as well. Brandon Road repair, I finally got that invoice in the amount of $153,944.52 that we recommend payment. Sanitary sewer clean and televised phase 2 is underway. Sanitary sewer at the tennis courts, I have that invoice in the amount of $33,525 that we recommend pay. The channel survey, if you've seen the windrows trucks, have been working on both that and the park survey as well. So, lots going on.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
Hey, are we at Q&A now?
We are at Q&A.
My question, and I didn't hear it in there, I heard you talking about starting on the east ditch. I didn't hear a time frame. Is there a time frame yet to when that?
So since the cost is over $100 or $75,000, we're requesting to advertise for public bid. In that meantime, once we get that ditch cleaned out, we're also having the survey, and so I'm hoping to get that survey next month as well. I have an idea for the repairs. We'll start submitting paperwork to FEMA, telling them, hey, that $200,000 you guys originally allocated is not enough, and we'll start that process, trying to go after them for more money, as well as attempting communication with East Plantation on the repairs for their costs as well. Now, they are on the hook for 50% of the ditch clean out. It's an emergency repair as far as I'm concerned because of the blockage in the ditch itself. So cleaning and proper function of that ditch is very important, and as of right now, it's not functioning that way. And so we're classifying it as an emergency repair, which you guys are authorized under the agreement, the joint agreement to do on their behalf, and then request the 50% reimbursement.
So realistically, we're talking maybe 60 days yet?
We're gonna I'll have contracts next meeting, and I will talk to all the contractors and say this is a emergency basis to get out as fast as possible. So we hope to have them started by September. We are going.
Better than it's not that, we've got to get that going, but as soon as this high pressure system, we're looking at the tropical storms coming in, and I'd like to have that out of the way before those get here.
Is there a way to speed that up?
Not on public bidding requirements.
So, on the Stone Mountain, since I'm going to assume it's our responsibility,
Yes.
next meeting,
yes.
can you get some,
One thing
figure out what we're doing?
to touch base on, that was a great question. I don't know if you guys want to look to authorize Julie to possibly authorize a higher cost. And I don't have a ballpark under $100,000 to recommend. I mean, I really hope it'll be under $50,000, but just the extent of either remove and replace can get kind of costly.
Well, I make a motion that we allow Julie to make that decision under $100,000.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to vote on any of the other stuff?
I'm gonna run through and put together a motion for you guys if that works.
Okay,
So
yep.
we will need authorization to advertise and bid on your behalf for the DSILT. We need authorization to have Julie sign the contracts for the phase 2 clean and televise, and we need authorization for the Brandon Road payment and the tennis courts repair payment on the sanitary sewer.
Would that not be included with approving the payment of the bills, or
We
just a
always
special?
ask for it in our report as well, just so we cross all the T's and dot all the I's.
Okay.
Sometimes my report comes before the bookkeeper, sometimes the bookkeepers come before mine, so we just want to make
Okay.
sure that it's covered on those bases.
Okay.
On the tennis court repair, are they completely finished?
Yes, they're working to get that backhoe out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I noticed when they filled it up and the asphalt is there, they just followed through with the regular slope. It looks like it could cave in on the side.
I'll talk to him about
Okay.
getting a little more coal patch in there to even it out. I drove it a couple of times. It seemed like it was holding well, but but we will certainly talk with them.
Okay. Do I have a motion to?
That was four of the items that were
Yep.
looking at.
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept those items as stated by the engineer.
That's there. All in favor?
Aye.
And Paul's really good at writing up those motions, so it'll look perfect.
These notes are longer than usual.
Paul's gonna get a cramp.
I've only completed 2 pages so far. And then just, if y'all wanted to talk about the water well number 1, it's up to you guys. If you want to move, or you can just table it, however the board wants to do it.
Do we have any interest in bringing water well number 1 back in service?
I would just say I've always been interested in putting
Yes.
it back in service, but I'll go with whatever you got to go with.
Don't seem like there's a need for it though.
I don't think so. And especially now when we've got all these other projects coming up. I mean, that's $100,000 minimum.
Taylor, you gave us a lot of information there. Do you see any reason why we should bring that on? Why?
It's such a small plant. If it had a bigger GST or something along those lines, which would stand to buffer the capacity a little bit, it would be of more interest. But a 70,000 gallon GST just really doesn't provide a whole lot to your constituents. It's only 350 connections that the GST alone can serve. So even having it filled, it doesn't, you know, if everybody's, it's gonna be empty before you know it, and that well's just gonna get a bunch of runtime until it breaks.
Would having that on, would that help with the water pressure being low over throughout the neighborhood when there's low water pressure? Would having that help with that low water pressure?
When do you have low water pressure other than when we've had all the Tacos
Well,
things?
it's been happening just this last month, so it's all the Tacos things.
When you have main breaks like that, typically the water pressure is going to drop really fast. Having more water forced into the system is just going to push more water out of that hole. It's not going to maintain the pressure as much as you think it would.
What about from an operations standpoint? Any reason why we would need to keep or bring one on?
Keith wants as much water as he
As an operator, it's hard for me to tell you no, but I mean, to his point, I mean, you know, a GST that small, you know, I don't know, bang for your buck, if that's the most appropriate place to put your money. So, you know, what the past 30 days has shown me is, while it's been a rough go, you know, I mean, during the thick of a drought and the main breaks, everything else, I mean, yes, we've had low pressure at times, and some of that's even by design. We've lowered pressure to try to prevent from making the problem even worse. I mean, you know, water plant number 2, at least for a week and a half now, has done all the work, and so, you know, I'm not overly concerned not having water plant 1.
Okay. I'm convinced that we don't need to bring it on now.
One thing, I mean, while you have it, just recommend keeping it in that standby mode for if we see a rise for it. But to note that the equipment out there will continue to deteriorate above ground. I would recommend we still do a preventative service request to come check it out, so that at least we have a starting point as to what we're looking at. So if in December we say, hey, why not put this online? We can say, okay, this is what it's going to take. We're going to do these repairs to the GST, these repairs to the booster pumps, and so on and so forth.
And it's still getting tested regularly, right? Correct? No?
The well's not getting tested. It's
Well's not?
no,
Okay.
no.
Is there an advantage of running the motor every
I was
once
gonna
in a
say, I
while?
thought we.
There's no. They pulled the motor.
Oh.
The original reason. The original reason that well was taken offline because the motor went out. So they actually pulled the pump, put a metal plate over it, and put it in what's considered standby mode with the TCEQ for a 5-year period. And so it just kind of allows us to leave it.
I thought we were still gonna test it
Thought so too.
regularly, like once a year.
Once a year.
Thought y'all had terminated the 3-phase power from, and just gonna run service lights to keep it on 110.
I thought we were testing it once a year for TCEQ purposes, just to make sure it was still operational.
Right.
Just put a temporary pump on it when they needed to
Because if
test
you take it offline, then
Yeah.
you're dead.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I thought they were doing.
Yeah, so the way the TCEQ letter was written, and I'll go back and recheck it, is that, you know, we look at it, we monitor, make sure nothing has happened to it per se, but as far as testing requirements, bringing in a a spare pump to be able to pull it. I don't believe that's in there, but I will double check based off of what you guys have said tonight.
Besides the cost of pump, of well one, if we decided tomorrow to reinstate well one, what's the time frame for getting it done? I mean, is it a month, is it a week?
It's probably closer to 45 days with all the extensive cleaning and things. Those guys are pretty fast. I probably could push them to get it in a month. It's how fast can they get the pump is going to be the tricky part.
So it's not something that we could count on in an emergency?
No, you couldn't say, hey, let's put this well back online.
Okay.
No.
Could I say something as part of the public? We have so much cost coming up here that we didn't even expect, as you well know, as you're finding. I think this is too incidental. I don't see where we ought to be spending $100,000 on something that is not
Gonna
perfect.
benefit us, but gonna
Yeah.
benefit East Plantation.
And the thing with the interconnect, I mean, we do have an interconnect.
Well, that's what he just said. He said it's not gonna benefit us, it's gonna benefit them.
Yeah, but they have 2 500,000-gallon tanks, 2 wells over there. They've got 10 times the water they need. We've got 5 times the water storage we need. I just don't think we ought to be spending the money.
Okay.
Are y'all good with preventative service at least coming out and inspecting all the equipment so we
Yes.
have a base? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Any motion for that?
I mean, I think that's well within his normal.
Yeah, that would,
Yeah.
I mean, they're normally gonna have preventative services come
Right.
out on a regular basis. It's just, I was just giving you guys
Yeah.
a heads up. Normally, we don't expect plants that are off, that are out of the picture, but to give us a baseline,
Got
it
it.
would be
I think
worthwhile.
that's a great plan.
Okay. All right, so are we good with the engineer's report?
Did we decide anything on the sidewalk?
No, we did not. I think that, I would, yeah. Yeah, you want to consider it under the engineer's report or under the future green space project?
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, yeah, he wanted
Either
to
one.
ask some questions about it, I think.
I
that's why we-
have some additional input. that
Yeah, that was
call
why
it-
you haven't acted on that. We're on to that item now.
Yeah.
It'd be appropriate.
I'll go ahead then with what I kind of think it's more important than fixing a few cracks in the concrete. I think that would be nice to have that done. However, right with this drought, we're losing 100-year-old trees, we're losing grass, we're losing all the things that we worked to put together for the neighborhood.
so what do you want?
Huh?
What do you want?
Well, I checked out some stuff today. We actually turned Charleston on at the club with the effluent water and had it flowing through part of the system. Of course, Tackus, in their infinite wisdom, had cut the main supply line down at Stonewall Jackson, so it we were flooding some guy's pickup down there. He had it in a ditch or something. But anyway, we did isolate, and we found there are a couple of sprinkler heads out here that are still there. Anyway, the skeleton apparently is in place. I would anticipate there's going to be some breaks in it, some work to be done, and we can put it back up and we can make it run. There's different levels, but I think maybe Keith can speak to it better than I can as far as what all would have to go take place. But we can put it in. Now, according to Rob, who's the manager down at the golf club, the control units, and you can help me if this is right, for each section are about $1,200 a piece. Now, Jamie says she can get them cheaper, but we would need 9 of those to make things work on the thing correctly. The next piece is each hose, especially the longer hose, have 4 sprinkler heads around each green. I don't know that those are all necessary, but they're there, so you gotta plug them or do something with them or use them. And like on section 9 down there, the last total, that's one of the longer ones. He told me there's probably 14 sprinkler heads on that fairway, so there's roughly 18 sprinkler heads on that thing. They could run anywhere from $300 to $350. Again, Jamie's telling me she's got a place that she can beat that price. But if you had the controllers and you had the sprinkler heads, we just need somebody with some expertise to put it together, which is a few wires and put the sprinkler heads in, and then we can turn the water on and we can run it from there. Now, there's a couple of caveats in here. One of the caveats is that the shut-off is actually on the golf club property. It's just barely on the golf club property, but it it comes under the road into our property. So if we did start to do that, I would think we should go in on our side, move the shut-off on our side of the street,
Yeah,
and instead of leaving it on their side.
absolutely.
And that would give us control of that.
Control our own water.
Yeah, the second caveat to it is that the pumps that are powering the thing belong to the golf course. And they're in that little building there, by number 9 Biloxi. There's two 50-horse motors. I guess at some point, if he figured out we were using his motor to pump our water, he might not like that. So we might have to put a pumping station on our side of it to make that work. So we'd have a small motor to do that. You got any thoughts? I mean, what, am I talking, is it ridiculous? I know it's expensive. We're probably, at the numbers he gave me, we're probably looking at $100,000 to do the whole thing at one time. But what do you think, Keith?
I mean, I'd have to, I mean, we can certainly spend some time to look into it. I'd have to figure out heads and controllers and zones and everything else. The pump station, everything else, to me, that's gonna be, could be problematic. I mean, cause that's a function of, I mean, then you're having to tie in, you're gonna have to reconfigure lots of piping in order to be able to get off their system and then establish your own system with your own pressure plane.
Yeah, that's possible. I don't, to me, I don't know if that is really all that necessary. It would be up to them, honestly, because it's their pump that's pumping. Even though we're giving them the water, it's their pump that's pumping it, I think.
So what kind of permits would we have to use
It
that grid?
should already be permitted. It was permitted for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's our water under that agreement, so I think we have what we need for that. I just need to look at the agreement. I didn't realize the facilities were still on their water, which makes sense, because it was all the golf course at one
Right.
time. So I just need to read the agreement to see if it anticipates that issue.
We got the manager helped us to, well, actually, it wasn't the manager, one of the yard, or the workers helped us find where the shut-off is. Put that.
So
He helped us locate where it was and turned it on and run the thing. So.
another thing to look at this is, keep this, all the water from the sewer plant, does it come into that one pond, do you know, up by the clubhouse, or does it?
It was this morning.
But that is down to almost nothing.
Oh, that's not,
They were filling it this morning.
It's been filling, it's filling all day long, but but they are using every bit and then some. Because that pond used to be way up here, and now it's, you're finding
Well,
all
I don't know,
faults and everything.
do we have excess affluent water now or not?
No, I mean, I think, typically, when I've been on top of the plant, there's no water going out of the plant. Golf course is taking pretty much everything we discharge.
And
They
you're-
take most
you're-
of-
and
The
you're
ponds
using
on
every
A
bit
and
of
B
it.
are low, and the fish are dying, and there's vultures everywhere.
Yeah, but I only see water coming in at that pond up by the clubhouse.
So the only thing that I'm aware of, and to be completely candid, I've not spent a whole lot of time to wrestle that to the ground, and I'm certainly happy to. I've been obviously following tax around, but the only thing I'm aware of as to how that system's set up is there's a pond that's just adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant site. The pump and the meter and everything, it's metering water that goes to that pond, and then from there the golf course moves it from that pond to wherever, is my understanding.
The pump isn't here, it's,
So, correct, so we're discharging water from the effluent into the pond that's adjacent to the wastewater plant. And then from there, the golf course is moving it to these other ponds, is my understanding.
Yeah, and that's coming through their two pumps is my understanding.
but first it has to get to the pond there, there's another pump there.
Right.
But that's us, that probably puts it to the pond.
right.
That's not.
No, we
He's
put
saying
it in this
to
pond.
Yeah, that's
They
right,
put
right,
it
But
into
then
that
there's,
pond.
there's a pond,
Yeah.
they take the irrigation water out of the pond that's right next to the clubhouse. That used to be up here, now it's down here, there's hardly any water left in it right now.
One more caveat, just to throw another wrench in, is I would like to look at the non-potable water permit to see if it differs for commercial use on a golf course versus public use on a park.
Park, yeah.
Anyway, like,
Well, you would think if people are on a golf course, they can still use it on a park.
You would hope so, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about,
I don't see any of the golfers glowing right now.
You never know.
Yeah.
You might have kids out there taking a shower bath with them. Sprinkler comes on.
Been done before.
yeah.
The kids have done that before.
So, and another issue is, by the time we all did this, the drought will be over.
Right.
not be the last one.
Yeah.
And I personally, I don't know that we've got the money for that. I mean, we got,
I know you
we
can't
got,
replace the trees for the same
I was
amount.
gonna say the trees.
well, I know, but
Plus, it's a fire
Is that-
hazard. The grass out there is so dry, it's a fire hazard. When it got
well,
condemned, it was a fire hazard. I think it's still a fire hazard, and it looks bad on the neighborhood when you drive in, and it's just like brown grass.
Well,
If we get free water,
We can argue it both ways. I just think we need to try to take care of it. We spend a lot of money acquiring it, and if we just let it go to dirt, then, you know, we acquired some
they
things
make
like
a
that.
motion authorizing them to,
Have a tank truck go through there and water it, like they do, spray it on the water. Do
Well,
it twice a
there's
week.
cheaper options to do it. You can buy, they were showing me some equipment that, like these little rolling tractor things that go, that you can buy a hose and hook it on and run one down there, but that.
well, don't we have a
would-
tank on that truck back there?
Yeah, 250 gallons, that's not gonna go
No,
very
no.
far.
Go far at all.
That's one tree.
Yeah.
To do my water.
No, somebody wanna make a motion to have them proceed to do an analysis of what needs to be done?
I'll make a
That's not
motion
up to me.
that, I'll make a motion that we do an analysis on reviving the sprinkler system on Charleston.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna vote no.
And gonna say no also. It's 3-2.
But it passed 3-2. Okay.
Give me a second just to write all this down.
Okay.
But, I'll read the contract too, just to make sure, because the thing I'm concerned about is that what we acquired was when we condemn the park, we get anything on the park, that's it.
Right.
And so
Does it
anything.
include everything
It
underneath
would,
it?
it would be underneath it, yes, it's to the center of the earth, basically, and legally, and the sky, but things that are on their property, we don't control, so I just need to see if the agreement speaks to that. If not, you're gonna be at their mercy if.
Don't you have an easement?
Are you talking about the non-potable water agreement?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have, yeah, exactly.
Send me that as well.
Yeah, okay, I'll pull that. We rewrote that with the new owner
Okay.
after all that stuff changed, so I just need to see, we made it a lot better. I just don't know if we anticipated that, because we weren't necessarily talking about condemning it through it when we rewrote it.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the pump part. Don't you guys have an easement?
I don't think I'm gonna just say, without reading it, I don't think we have any rights to any of the facilities that the golf course owns. Our pumps, what I was talking about is what we do we are in charge of discharging that water. All of that we own. And then whatever the golf course uses to take that water, that's golf course stuff. I don't know why we would have an easement to go use golf course.
I'm talking about the pump area to supply.
That, I think, is theirs. I think that's the golf
The pumps,
course.
the shut-off valve would fall within an easement on that road, but if there was one. But the pumps would not, because they're on the other side
Yeah,
of the
that's
pump.
stuff that is owned by the golf course. I don't know why we would have an easement to go over there, but I'm gonna look into it. I'll look into it. And y'all still need to address if you wanted to, the sidewalks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do I have a motion to proceed with the sidewalk replacement or repairs?
I think we need clarification on the actual cost.
I thought you said 49.5.
So my estimate was to do all the sidewalks at
There's two
one,
of them on
if
there.
we went out to a public bid. Keith guys obviously can't do all the sidewalks in 1 month, and so my estimate would be to authorize him up to $15,000 to repair sidewalks, starting with the worst, and Keith and I can discuss that. And then.
So are they two separate bids, or they're just one that just got in here twice?
There was no bid.
I mean, the projected
It
cost.
even says the same.
Was it,
Uh,
I know, it's got the same project number.
Oh, I may have accidentally added it in there twice, I apologize.
Yeah, so that's what I just wanted to make
So
sure
I
it
meant,
was
what happened was,
accidentally in there
yeah,
twice.
I meant to put the clean out of the ditch, and I accidentally put that twice.
Okay.
I apologize.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna be 99,000
No.
instead of
So,
305.
so this way, you know, he goes out, he fixes as much as he can up to about $15,000. He comes back to the board and says, hey, we spent 15,000, we think it's gonna be another 10,000, and, you know, and the board authorizes it next month. Or you can say, hey, everything looks great, I think all the other areas can wait for a little bit, and so on and so forth. So,
I go for that one.
Somebody make a motion if you want it.
because you wanted more work, right?
What are we making a motion for, $15,000 approval?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve $15,000 for,
Municipal ops.
to do the repairs on the worst part of the sidewalks in
Right.
Charleston.
Yeah.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any other future green space projects?
Huh?
Got a lot going on here.
Yeah. Do we have any other future green space projects?
Not me, not at this time.
All right, all right. Number 7. What did we decide to do?
Yeah, well, you want me to start us off on that? Is that
Sure.
okay, Julie? So I'll tell you, board, that there's 2 action items here. Well, two items, 7 and 8. If you want to take action on 8, you can, you don't have to. So you have your assets, your trucks and equipment and supplies that you no longer need. And you've made the right decision, you've got an operator. This is consistent with what most MUDs do. It's better, it's gonna run better, you're gonna save money in the long run for sure. So the idea is, should we auction, how do we dispose of that equipment, right? You're a public entity, you can't just sell it to somebody who comes by and says, I wanna do it. So the right thing to do is an auction. And so I've been working with Julie to try to find you some options on that. And I'll tell you, most MUDs don't have any equipment. So there's not a whole lot of experience auctioning off stuff for MUD. So we found a couple options for you. Julie, obviously you chime in here. The 2 best I think that we could find is there's a guy up in McKinney area who does stuff all over the state, and they're both online auctions. He's a lot cheaper. It takes essentially a 10% fee from the buyer, which means it's basically free to you. I don't think they will work as hard. They just post it online with about 100 other auctions that they have going on. And the real problem for you on that one, which is I think why I would not suggest it, is you have to do all the other work. You have to photograph it, you have to describe it, you have to catalog it, you have to put it in a spreadsheet, you have to come up with the price you
You have
want.
to
It's a
tell
ton
them
of
what
work,
kind
and
of
no one can
condition
do
it's
that.
in.
No one here wants to do it, no one knows how to do it. You have to accurately describe the condition of it, so you're not misrepresenting. It's a ton of work, a ton of work. And I
Why
would,
are we even talking about?
yeah, never do that.
Well-
So the other option that we have
Because
for
we had
you,
2 options.
because the other option is a lot more expensive, which
Right.
is they will take from you, depending on the type of the item, either 15 or 30%. Smaller stuff is 30% because it's more work for the amount of the haul they make, right? Tools, they're gonna make $100 on it, and they put in the same amount of effort. So, and you can set reserves on your big equipment. So he's told us things like, I think I can get you X for your trucks. So if you don't trust that, you can put a reserve on it, and if it doesn't get it, you can try again. And so again, it's 15 to 30%. Now, we will tell you, looking at them, they do a lot less volume of auctions.
Right.
But they're local, Houston-based, and I think they're probably the right option. Yes, I do. But we can also
It's just an actual auction of physical.
it's still
It's
online,
on
but they
everything.
come out
Nobody's
and do it all.
doing
They set it up, they photograph it, they advertise it, they do everything. And it's a lot better option. It's just, they don't do as many, so they're gonna have a little bit less exposure, I would say. And it's gonna eat into your profits. But I really don't, those are really kind of the 2 options you have. And like you said, I don't even know why you talk about the one where you have to do all the work. There's no one to do that work. And so the third option is for us to interview some more people. So with that, I guess I'll turn it over, Julie, if you have any commentary, and then y'all can make
This
action.
big auction place on 45 by, I think it's by the Beltway, Ritchie
45
Brothers. or
Ritchie
something.
Brothers.
Is
So
that-
Ritchie Brothers has a website, they do theirs online too, called GovPlanet. And-
Have they gone on?
It's called GovPlanet.
But they move equipment through there.
That's correct. But if you go look at it, all the tools, like the small tools, they would put them all in one box and sell the box, and the minimum bid's $100 on the box. So if you think you're gonna get more than $100 for the box, you're okay. If you think you can do it individual, I don't care.
And I think you
So,
have to take everything too.
You have to, that's correct.
That's all, that's the problem, is the one that takes the biggest cut, who's local, they
Does
haul it,
everything.
once it's sold, they do the transfer, they take the money, they send it to you, they get the equipment, you literally do nothing.
Right.
Which is what I would recommend, because I don't want you taking on any liability for anything at all. You know, no representations, no putting the equipment on a truck and shipping it to somebody, and there's a car accident and someone gets significantly hurt, there's gonna be a big lawsuit. I just.
You hire a hotshot company to do that, right?
Right, but somebody has to do that, like, right? We don't have employees.
So we gotta pay.
So you're either gonna pay me, this man, or this man to do it. That's your options, right? And I versus give a little bit of a cut to a professional auction company. So
That seems like an average expense for an auction.
I think that's right. That's what our research is
Yeah.
showing.
I had a live auction here.
Nobody does them.
You
I mean,
you won't
can't
get
find 'em
exposure
anymore.
for that. The way the online, well, the beauty of an online auction is anybody in the, literally the world, in the world. And they know who these auctioneers are, and they send out these e-blasts to these big lists they have, and they say, check out the new items. I mean, you have some things that have value.
The back over.
Yeah, you're gonna get real attention for some of that. And it's just, you would either have to, the board or your consultants would have to do a bunch of work. I'm not opposed to that, but I think you're gonna lose money doing that. And you may not even do as well in the end, right? And I don't think you wanna be involved, like you said, in shipping, signing shipping contracts, who's sending this to here, what if they don't pay?
Right.
It's a big hassle, big time hassle. But it's up to y'all,
Yeah,
you.
We can table it and y'all can find more places, and
I'm fine with
I don't care,
Information we
so.
have.
So the one you're gonna see, item 8, is the one that, if y'all wanted to make a decision tonight, that's the one that
Yeah,
I
we
would
can always
recommend.
table it.
Based on everything we know, they're the ones that charge the 15 or the 30% to you, but they're, you know, port and port will do the whole thing. I think they're local, they're good,
I like that.
and they will let us put a reserve. That was the main thing we asked
Are
on the
you
big
done then?
things.
No, I just think that's the best option.
Okay, and the reserve thing is what sold it in my mind, because the few big things, I didn't wanna risk that, and if they're gonna let you put a minimum bid, then there's really no risk to you, right?
Absolutely.
So we would need a motion, and so 7 is just discussing it, so if y'all, sounds like y'all done that. If you're ready, 8 would be a motion to
I
go
do have
with.
a question. If we go with them, are we talking about cleaning that whole back end out?
We pick and choose what we want. We tell them what we want to sell.
Because I
And
think
he
there
said,
are
all
a
you do
few
is you
things we
point.
probably want to keep around
Right.
here.
Right. He said, but we point what we want, and then he
Like that guy that you pay to take the trash.
Yeah.
Point.
point it. Yep.
Is there any advantage to keeping, say, a big in the backhoe?
We're keeping the
For
gator
MOC.
and the golf cart for MOC and for Taylor and
I
them.
said the backhoe.
Tobacco, the contractors all have their own. I mean, most of them. So, do you see an advantage to keeping the backhoe?
Honestly, no. I mean, we've got several crews that, you know, each it's a 3-man crew. Every trailer's loaded up. They got equipment on it already. You know, you know, for us, you know, they're, you know, if we're using,
You got any interest in that horizontal drill?
yeah, I do.
You can put in fiber optics.
Good.
No, thank you.
That's right.
You got to repair it too.
Just remember, if you keep it, you gotta keep it running too, right? You gotta,
Maintenance.
you
That's
know,
right.
Yep.
You
Well,
gotta
in fact,
maintain
that
it.
one's easy to keep running.
I make a motion that we accept the opportunity to use Hodges Auctions, and we go ahead and move forward with it.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
All right.
And if I could just add, Julie, we edited the contract, we did our lawyer thing to just make sure to get you all the protection, so we'll just negotiate with them to the final contract term, and based on that, Julie can sign it if you're off with it.
But at some point, we gotta look back there and see what goes and
What
what
goes.
doesn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir, that's
Yep.
correct.
You made me think of something else we probably need to discuss. We got the two items that we're keeping, both of them have a problem right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we gotta get those
The
fixed.
golf cart, I don't know if it's batteries are low water, if the charger's not working, but it's not going. And since
And the
when
gator's
your
got a
guys
flat
used it,
tire.
that runs sense.
Oh, man.
And then and then you use the gator and come back and it's got a
The
flat.
tire.
See, that's why we
It's
didn't want to
taken.
do it.
So, I mean, we've got those two items back there, but,
Right.
you know, I might could come up and try to mess with them a little bit, but.
Well, I'm sure we can take the golf cart, the counter golf cart,
Somebody
and they
might
come pick
take
it up
and
and,
they'll come
Yeah.
get
I
it.
have a guy that can come pick that, but maybe what's wrong with the golf cart is that there's no water in the batteries.
That's what I said, it might be that, it might be the charger, it might be the batteries are 17 years old, who knows?
you know, could be.
They're good for 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but ours are 17, so no
Yeah.
problem.
So, I mean, do we need to do anything in the meeting to try to address those issues, is my question.
I don't think so.
I don't
It's gonna
think
be
you
minimal
need,
cost.
you have, yeah, you have your operator, they may use it when they come out here, some, and your engineer, I think that's normal.
But they're not using it now because it's broke.
Yes.
Yeah,
The operations
right,
can fix
they
it.
can fix, they can.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Okay, oh wait, the green space projects, can I go back to that, because we forgot something? The trees, we have 3 trees on the golf cart, on the park, on Charleston Park, that, a homeowner has, complained about. One is actually broken in half already, so there's 2.5 trees there. But I think the other 2 are in danger of falling on her property. And so, we got some bids on, I got 2 bids, and I think Tom got a bid on having the trees removed that I think we had talked about. The one from, what's the name of that place? Oh, actually, it was from, Taylor got the bid, I'm sorry. Taylor got the bid. From Brightview was $6,928 to take out the 3 tree, well, it really only says 2,
They
but,
still have to put 3 out.
Yeah.
There's 3 there, one of them's down, that's all.
no, it's not down, it's still standing.
Part of it's standing.
Part of it's
about
still
10 feet
standing,
high.
yeah. And this only talks about 2 trees, so I don't know if that includes the 3rd one or not, but anyway, it's $6,928. Two of the guys that do work for the CIA, so we know they're insured, we know they're, one bid $3,400 and the other one bid $2,800, but that does not include stump grinding, but it's a park. Do we care about the stump grinding?
You gotta have a place to sit.
That's right, that's what the stumps are for, so,
They're about $300 to go stump, about $300 to go stump
Yeah.
grinder out there to take care of that.
we don't need a stump grinder.
Right.
So we have a bid of $2,800, a bid of $3,400, and one for $6,928.
I sure like
Are
the
those good prices?
You like what, the 2,400? That's, yeah, 2,800.
They're really big.
That's their, yeah.
That's their guy?
I'm inclined to go with the 2,800. How much, I mean, I don't know what care there has
He
to be.
is
there.
bonded, insured, all that stuff? That
He
case-
wouldn't be able to do work for them if he wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to ask the question. That's the lawyer in him.
And it includes how.
Yeah, it includes hauling it away, yes.
Well, I like the $2,800 one.
I like the 2,800.
So do I have a motion to,
Yeah, I'll take a motion to have it done, let's get this out of the way.
for the
The
2,800?
roll one, yeah.
Okay.
A second.
It's J&K tree.
J&K tree.
Okay.
Those
Do we
are
have a second?
beautiful oak trees too, I was
I
glad
know.
to see them go.
Well, one's an oak and one's a white, something, yeah, okay.
I think they're all 3 oaks, but make it different.
Okay. Anyway, so I have a motion, I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right.
We also have across the green from there, there's another one I was told today is about to fall.
Is it gonna
I
endanger
don't know.
somebody's
Who was telling
property?
me, was that Denise was telling me about it?
Is it gonna endanger somebody, oh, I didn't even see you sitting back there, I was like, where is she? Is it gonna endanger somebody's property?
It
If it
looks
falls?
to me like it would.
What's the address? Do you know?
No,
Oh,
I can get
okay.
it for you and send it to you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Can we amend this,
I
or
agree
that if
with
it
doing
needs to
that.
go, that we could just take that one too?
Same guy.
Well, he's
Do
here.
what? I don't know, you have to come look at it, I don't know, can we,
I think you can amend it
Propose.
if you want, you can say something like for comparable cost on a per tree basis or something like that.
I mean, that comes out to be, let's see, 3 divided by 28 divided by 3,
It's 900 a tree.
thank you, 900 a tree, so, yeah, yes.
There are about 4 trees by that new house over across the street from the clubhouse that have yellow tape around them, right next to the golf cart path. So I don't know who put the yellow tape on, it usually indicates cut down the tree, but that's something.
Is it on their property or on
I
our
don't, I
property?
couldn't, well, it's close enough to the golf course, I think it's on our property, but,
That's
there are a lot of
Those are the
trees.
save trees that
They marked to save them.
Those
Oh,
are
to
saved.
save them
Oh,
Yes,
from
those are
the,
save trees.
okay,
was
for
part
that
of-
house,
well, that means cut down
when they were
gutters.
clearing?
No, they're finished cutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when they were clearing land for that house, right?
Right, that,
Yeah,
that
Those
was
okay.
part of
Those are the
our,
ones they wanted to say,
that
okay.
was something.
Yeah, I
So
would
that's
think
old
in
history.
there.
You want to
Yeah.
amend your motion?
Yeah.
And amend your second?
Yes.
Do y'all have an amended vote?
Okay,
Unanimous again?
yes,
I second.
yeah,
So the.
For the other tree.
Find that other needs to come
oh,
down.
yeah,
just
the other one
Take
needs to
it
come
with it
down.
while he's there.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right, number 9, consider proposals for the security system. So I'm gonna throw it to Tom here in a minute, but Tom got some quotes, and he did a little spreadsheet to compare the 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them. So, you got anything you want to say?
Not really, they're fairly comparable in scope. There's a little difference in equipment between them. The two in the middle are young companies, smaller companies that are trying to get started. The third one, I think most of us have probably heard, I mean, the last one is Agent or something like that, that I've seen them before. And then the lowest one is ADTs. They've been around forever, everybody knows who they are. So anyway, Julie asked me to get them in there, so I did. But anyway, I brought each of them in here. I told them what we were looking for. We do want to put CCT so we can tell who's on our properties or in the buildings with motion detectors, door sensors, that kind of thing, the regular stuff. And I put it all together. You can see here what it would cost for equipment, etc. I'm not going to advocate for any of them, but if you have questions, if I can answer it, I will. I think it's fairly obvious which one is cheaper.
So it's just for this building only?
This
Yeah,
building.
that's it.
Now, there's one thing that I have to show you, because it wouldn't break out right when I did it, but it's at the bottom on there, you see monitoring on the list. If you'll see ADT's wanting to charge you $129.27 a month for monitoring. But what they're giving you for that is if anything breaks, any of your equipment falls, let's say your camera doesn't work, your motion sensor goes out, whatever, for the whole term of the 36 months, they'll replace it with no labor, no cost for equipment. And it's
You don't have to
basically,
extend the contract?
it's in the contract.
No, do you have to extend the contract at that point?
No.
Like when
I
your cell
think you-
phone breaks and you go get a new one?
No, it just keeps going. I mean, and now that I'm saying off of my experience, I've had ADT at my house for about 10 years or better. And anytime I have a problem, I call them, they'll go through their little routine of trying to fix it over the phone first. But if they have to, they'll send somebody out, and they've replaced cameras for me, they've replaced my thermostats, and it's always at no charge for labor or material, but I have to pay my monthly fee. And I've been paying the same fee. It hasn't changed a penny in over 10 years. It's the same.
Yeah, I use ADT
Huh?
too. I use ADT too. I
You
like
got
it.
the same experience?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is lately they're trying to do everything virtual. But
Everybody is.
Yeah, I agree with that, that's normal. Yeah.
But the girl, she seems to know me. I don't know her, but she knows me.
I found it interesting that only one of them included a battery backup,
Yeah,
you know? And
Yeah,
and
that's
that same
important.
one also gives you 2 4 megapixels and 2 8 megapixels, where the rest are all 4 megapixels. And he was the cheapest monthly monitoring.
yeah, but I will say this, I'm not advocating anybody. If you want me to, I went ahead and figured it out. If you took all of them 36 months with their agreements and then their equipment costs, ADT would cost you $7,137 for the 36 months.
So they're all right about within
Huh?
so they're all within $100 of each other.
No, they're not. So that, if you took his monthly.
Oh, you'd have to add the monthly to
You
it.
add that to
Yeah.
it, he goes to 8371. SCI.
Oh, but their ADTs are only using 2 megapixel cameras.
That's correct. Now mine are very clear, I can show you what they
I
look
was
like.
just gonna say the same.
Same.
Huh?
I was just gonna say the same thing, it's my app, it's awesome.
Does ADT come out and clean them?
No, they don't need cleaning, I've never needed to clean
I
it.
haven't cleaned mine either.
We
I
I don't know if you're supposed
At any
to,
rate,
but.
SCI, when you factor his 36 months of monitoring, comes out to 8622.
And what did the Synaptic come out to?
His was 8371. And agent, when you factor theirs in, it comes out to 9119. Now I rounded some.
What was ADT's?
ADT comes out to 7137. Now,
But you gotta sign a
And the
36
other
month
three-
Yeah.
and
contract.
the other three do not
Or 3-year
extend their
contract.
warranty because of your maintenance.
So
Do
that
what?
three-year contract stays at that same price for 3 years, right?
Yeah, you talk about ADTs?
Yeah.
Yeah, these others, I think the monitoring is optional. ADT, you have to take the contract to get that price.
So you're saying the others don't monitor?
No, they will
They
monitor.
will.
I think the
Or a fee.
monitoring could be optional with them, but you have to pay that price, and plus monitoring. The last number I just gave you on each one is figuring everybody with a 3-year monitoring and equipment.
Okay.
But the other three do not give you a warranty for parts and labor for the whole 3 years.
Yeah.
What is NVR, 8-channel NVR?
Right.
What is that second?
The NVRs,
Yeah.
that's full-time
If the-
recording. It's like a DVR, but it's for cameras that use the Ethernet connection, basically. And the 8-channel, just like on the ones you can see, most of them had 4 cameras, but the difference in a 4-channel NVR and an 8-channel DVR is about $100. So what you want, if you wanted on any of these to have an 8 in here, you can add 4 more cameras for the cost of the camera, which is usually around $200.
And how long did they record it? How long did they record it?
They'll record 24/7 if you want to.
No, but how long did they?
Yeah, how long do they
Oh,
keep
what's
the
the history?
recording?
How long of a history does it keep?
Oh,
30 days or
what
what?
they'll do is, for instance, if it's gonna go by your memory, and the way these normally set up, if you set them on motion, they'll only record snippets on motion, and so they go for a long way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but if you want them to record 24/7, and you have, let's say, a terabyte of memory, then it's gonna be, when those 4 cameras fill up that terabyte, then it starts re-recording over the older stuff.
Do we know?
So
Do we know how much memory each one of these has?
I did have, there's, the actual quotes
about a
are,
terabyte?
Are in the back.
the actual quotes are behind here.
I'm gonna look at that. I want you to know.
I don't know, I told you, I wasn't told to know, but I was told.
I told to bring it, yeah, exactly.
ADTs is 2 terabytes.
The other ones will replace things if they break, or no? Will the other ones replace things if they break?
Now, well, they have a warranty of, they're all different, I'd have to look at here. But generally, I'm gonna say, most of them are maybe a year,
Okay.
you know, or less.
I had a tree fall that knocked down 2 of my cameras off there on the corner of my house, and ADT replaced both of them.
Yeah. Now, if you go out there and hit it with a baseball bat, they won't do it.
Right, yeah. You can see the tree on camera though.
Yeah. I haven't got to talking to this since this gal said she knew me. I said, well, you know, I've had my system for over 10 years. Should I upgrade it?
Yeah.
So she's talking about that, wanting to look at that. I said, oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
So then, so they monitor this and then they call
that's called you.
who?
Whoever we tell them to call.
We'll put your number on there.
Things.
We'll probably have them call 2 people in case somebody's out of town or whatever.
But I don't know,
Sleeping.
I don't really anticipate a lot of calls, but, I mean, I don't know about you, I hardly ever get a call.
No, almost never.
They also, most of them also have an app, like ADT for sure, we know, has an app on your phone that you can actually look at the cameras.
You turn them on.
Huh?
Turn them on even if they're only on motion sensor.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can change that, do you?
I don't know that.
I don't have mine, mine only records under motion.
You can always see the feed, but it only records if there's motion. That's the way mine is.
Yeah, that's,
So you can look on your phone and see every camera anytime you want to.
yeah.
It's just not always recording, because most of the time nothing's happening, right?
Yeah, mine aren't real great at night, but,
Yeah, you do need light out there.
Yeah.
They do need, it does help if you have
see,
light.
as an example, that's what mine looks like. That's at my backyard right now, and it's fairly dark, so it's hard to see it.
But you can still see if there's somebody.
Yeah, but you can also go in here and get clips anytime you want. So like if I say I want to see clips, and then like for instance, here's a clip from where something was moving in my yard. And that's a difference. See, that's a 2 megapixel camera.
Looks like a wild animal.
Yeah.
Probably is a wild animal. Oh, it's my dog.
Yeah.
The last one's 1 terabyte.
It's my
The
dog.
other 3 are 2 terabytes.
Okay, so the answers to your, how big are the memories that are in here?
Yeah, she just found it. So
Yeah.
ADT is 2 terabyte.
The
Yeah, the
first 3 are 2 and the last one is 1.
Yeah, I forgot to put that on there. I'm not as efficient as Dave is.
What are you guys using? What are you guys doing?
We had ADT at one time, and our equipment was obsolete, so they couldn't fix it, so they required us to sign a new multi-year contract before they would replace
Yeah.
it.
So what are you doing now?
We're doing.
Simple thing.
No, no, we use the other guy.
Oh,
Really?
one of these guys?
I don't know who you got
Oh,
on
okay.
there.
Simply safe, man.
But
Simple thing.
Simply.
anyway, the cameras around the neighborhood are by a company.
Okay.
And when I asked about cleaning the cameras, they've told us, the technicians have told us time and time again that the cameras do need to be cleaned.
Replace
And they
period.
do have to periodically be calibrated and adjusted so that you get clear
That's that,
pictures.
yeah.
If you guys have any
So-
specific questions for them, I could probably get some.
House.
one or
I
two of
agree
them.
with that, yeah.
You know,
Or at least the H, the
so
CIA.
my only problem is when ADT, it's obsolete, then they require you to sign another contract which extends.
I'm told that that's not the case on this.
I can only say about what we experienced.
Because I asked them if it was just like mine. I said, mine, anytime, you know, if something goes out, you guys replace it. Will you do that on this? And they said, yes.
Well, yours, I don't know about that, but yours, at your home, it's not commercial, it's residential.
I know, and they know what they're bidding. They've been here, they've looked at it.
I can only speak to our experience.
I understand that, and I'm doing the same thing. But I do know I asked that question, and they said they would replace it for the entire time that we have it under.
That's the lowest. And it's got the battery backup.
That's what we need battery backup.
Battery backup costs you $200, roughly.
Okay, he's still the lowest.
How is that lower?
He calculated out for the 3 years,
Right here.
other than,
There's, if you add
18.
3 years in, the maintenance.
ADT.
well, ADT's the lowest, that's correct, but do we wanna have to sign a 3-year contract?
But it does say in there too, if you want, you can terminate before that, if you want, but there is a penalty, I guess.
you wanna make a motion on any of them? Or do we wanna look at it, or?
I don't know, let it go with ADT just on the cost and everything. They, certainly are a reputable
You
company.
have copies of the quotes.
Yeah.
I like the value that way.
I like the battery back.
That's another thing to make a decision on. It's really, a battery backup, you can get it from
It's
Costco
simple.
for $200.
Yeah, it's a simple thing.
And then all you do is you plug it into the wall, plug the NVR into that, and everything.
Well, if we sign a 3-year contract with ADT, if we sign a 3-year contract with ADT and next year something happens, then we don't need them anymore, and then we're gonna have to pay.
So you just cancel it.
Well, but you just said there was a penalty.
There's a penalty, it's in here, tells you.
What's the penalty?
If you want, I'll try to get them on the one, let you guys ask me questions. They also have a 6-month money back guarantee. I want my money back. I think I saw something about that.
Well, see the 6-month money back guarantee,
Which page is that on? Because I'm not seeing it.
that's on page 47.
Can I ask a question? Are y'all, do you have cameras at your operating plant and other places?
Maybe. I don't wanna say that, I can't.
I'm just saying, it'd be, my experience is to have the same company do everything. That way it's
That
cleaner.
makes sense.
Mhm.
But if it's just for this office, I guess it matters.
I don't see where it says that everything. And again, I've missed, I didn't see the other page either, so.
Early termination fees apply for terms and prices.
So,
Click here, but it's,
Oh.
so it's,
So you got that on your phone? Click here where it says click here. If you got that on your
click here
phone.
for terms and pricing, early termination.
So if it's similar to your phones,
Do you have
and
that
you
on
have
your
a
phone?
3-year contract, and you cancel after 1 year, they charge
You
you
pay for the whole
for
thing.
the other 2 years, that's what you're paying.
That's what I wanna say it is, but I don't want to swear to that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get.
Full remaining balance for equipment and installation due immediately upon termination of the related.
Yeah.
So then you'd have to pay the 3 years,
Yeah.
whether you cancel it or not.
Well,
But they
they're
do it
financing
one
out the equipment, right?
Yeah, huh?
Does anybody do a 1 year?
Yeah, I mean, they all the other,
Yeah,
what were
they
there,
don't,
3?
they don't have a term.
The other 3 are month to month, yeah.
It's gonna get 30 next month.
Comments?
Can't you
Questions?
negotiate something with them?
Huh?
Can't you negotiate something with them?
With ADT?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. Besides, we have Paulie, he can sue him.
Maybe we should just table
Table it?
this, table it.
So next month?
Think about it.
Next month, and give us time to look at
Okay,
it.
all right,
Get Tom to, that way you
Okay.
can call and
Get
ask
some more
questions.
details.
okay.
Maybe we should just table it for a month.
You wanna talk to her?
No,
Sure.
not in the middle of the meeting.
I can call her and set a call if you wanted to talk to her.
Not right now.
We'll give you a list of questions. Okay, number 10.
Depends how much this would-
Number 10, do we need an executive
I
session?
think so, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to adjourn and go into
Are you
executive session.
going to vote when you come out?
On the security things?
No, on your executive session.
Are we doing anything in the executive session that we're gonna vote on?
It's possible.
Okay, so, hang around. We'll come get you when we're done. Well, I don't know what it's about, so I don't know, I can't tell you.
We talked about some of it, but yeah, sorry, there might be.
Okay.
I don't think we need that long, but we do need
Okay.
executive session.
Okay,
Well, we can go back in the other
Yeah, we can go back to the
Yeah,
office.
let's just start there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Eight,
all right.
say 8:30. Thank you very much. Yeah, perfect, got it. Okay. Thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, I know, I know.
It just says executive session.
Oh, that's right, I did that, yeah, I know. It's like, that's what I need. I go back and get some content. Thank you very much. I just don't like that. We say we're gonna test, so I think we can take the date next week, right?
Hey, how y'all doing? Pretty good. Hello, baby.
How's Miss Bernadette? Tell her I said hello.
Okay.
No, we'll chase them all.
Y'all doing all right? Out vacation? Oh, yeah, water in the grass, right? Yeah, I heard, yeah, I heard. Bernadette in the morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock, she's out there.
Okay. Sorry.
Every day. I think they were wanting to save money on that well number one.
Yeah.
So that's rather than keep
Oh, yeah.
the commercial three-phase service, they canceled, it was about $400 a month.
No, you drop off.
That's what he said. It was gonna be.
Okay. I'll drop them off once we come back down. Oh, did we get that one sign that Taylor needs to take with him? Wait a minute. Wait. Did Taylor leave? Okay, we gotta, he's gotta take a check with him.
Oh, let me.
I think he went through it.
Yes.
Oh, Tyler,
Sign it.
got a check for you.
She's gonna get with me and I'll go over there.
They're right behind Luby's.
And you should see on
Forgot the check.
Sorry, Carol. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Catch Keith for you.
Yep, yep.
They just, everybody does.
I'll bring you the rest tomorrow.
Oh, they don't care.
And we turn the, somebody get the camera off?
Me and.
Wanna make sure-
Turn that off.
That could be put in.
Put it on.
Yeah, just pause it, don't turn it off, because then we'll. I don't need my phone.
Well,
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. You turning that off?
just trying to pause it.
You know how to do it?
Nope.
I don't either.
She didn't.